Hi everyone, hope you enjoyed my previous how to make a ytong ant nest. I'm going to do another one now, a little bit more detail and explaining a few things. What you see on the screen now is a ytong. It's basically concrete with lots of little holes in it. It's very light and easy to carve with. I've drawn out my tunnels that I want to create for my ants. My ants are very small, so they don't need great big tunnels or a massive piece of concrete. This is a photo of about 30-40 minutes into carving it. It's pretty rough. The tubes currently don't fit into the exit holes, so I had to make them a little bit bigger and of course make them flat as well so the glass would fit on top. Here is the finished carving of the ytong. I moved indoors because wind came up and blew all the particles into my face. Make sure when you're carving your ytong that you do it indoors. I made the mistake of going outside and doing it. When you start cutting this stuff up, it becomes very fine and it gets in your eyes and your mouth and you breathe it in and it's really bad for you. So make sure that you're doing it inside with mask and goggles. Now that I've got my my ytong cut out, I'm going to put a bit of glass on top. Now to do that I need two tunnels coming out, and I made two tunnels because I may only want to use one right now, but I may want one later on, and I don't want to have to lift the glass up, cut it, because all the ants would run out. So I've made two. The piece of plastic that's hanging out is 6mm tubing, so it's not really big, but my ants are small, so that's fine. The actual slab is 30 centimeters long. It's actually 25 centimeters long and 20 centimeters wide on this photo. There is a little bit of Hebel brick or ytong, whatever you want to call it, hanging off the edge, and that was because the glass doesn't go that far. It's actually 30 centimeters Hebel brick and the glass is 25. So now I've glued it down and I've used a glue gun, but it uses a silicon stick. This heats the silicon up to really hot temperature and it sticks very quickly. It's just exactly like super glue, but it's a lot thicker. And as you can see around the edges of it, it's not exactly smooth. It's very rough because it hardens very quickly. I haven't done the inside because there was just not enough time. This stuff really does dry quickly and I need to get it down. As you can see, it was dripping when I put it on, and I really put it on nice and thick, so there was no holes at all around the edges where the ants could get out. Now you're probably wondering what the brown stuff is. It's actually paint. I couldn't get it off. It actually absorbed into the ytong, so that's nothing but paint that was in the shed at the time it was leaning up against. As you can see around this area of the tubing, I made sure that there was silicone over the top of the tubing, so when I put the glass down it stuck to it. The previous one I made and put on YouTube, the ants could crawl up here and they actually made a little hole in the silicone and they escaped one night. Quite a few got out, but I had a lot in there at the time, so that was fine. But learnt my lesson and seal every hole possible. Now I've hooked up a little container with this one, and I've thrown a little bit of dirt into the ytong and a couple of bits of wood, just little sticks, just to give them something to run on. And the other hole, the other exit, I've put a bit of cork in so they can't get out, but I can use it at a later date and maybe put another container on there, so the maybe drinking water or something like that I can put in there. Now I don't know if you can see it, but down here, let me just zoom in. Down here for the tubing, I've made it so this is actually connected to the container. Then there's a smaller pipe which is 6mm, then there's a larger pipe, then there is a smaller pipe. Now the reason why I've done that is because I can take this piece out of this bit and I can plug it, and I can empty the container out if I need to. I can also replace it with another container. So it's always handy to be able to link tubes up and have them connect properly, so that you can remove containers and replace them at any time. Now it's very important, I stress this the most, when making something like this, should take about 20 workers and put them in the ytong over a period of 24 hours, and if none of them are dead, then it's alright to move the colony in. I made this mistake before where I made a ytong and I moved the whole colony in, and there was dust particles inside and it killed all the ants, including the queen. So make sure that you do test it out. Throw some ants in there, make sure they run around and they like it. If they stay in the tube the whole time, then you'll know that they're not really liking their surroundings, and you'll have to change it somewhat. This photo was taken 24 hours after I connected everything up and put the colony in the tube, and they started to move all their larvae into the actual ytong, which is great. And as you can see, the queen is right in the middle. Don't be in too much of a rush to get the queen right into where you want her. She'll move her larvae and her eggs and the workers where she feels comfortable and safe. Sometimes that's near an exit, and sometimes that's right in the middle, or she'll move around. The larvae and eggs will move around as well, so one day they'll be at the bottom and next day they'll be at the top, and they can be all over the place. So don't think that just because they're not using a little room at the top or the bottom that it's useless, because they will move it there. Now in the first 24 hours they had moved all their larvae and eggs into just the tubing, and they weren't leaving the tubing at all. They had planted themselves in there and they weren't going to move. But a couple of hours ago they started moving everything in. And they finally moved all their larvae and eggs in, and moved a lot of the dirt out actually, so that's surprising. But anyway, there's tons of room in this, so I expect her to expand over the next 6 months or so, and I expect this whole ytong to be just black ants, which would be awesome. So I'll keep you updated. If you have any questions about how to create a ytong, maybe you'd like to post your videos and show me what you've done, that would be great. Always keen to see someone else's work. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.